This is downright evil because I thought it'd be bolts right here behind this panel because that would logically make sense. But it's under here, two more bolts that are blocked by, please don't tell me it's a bumper off to change a taillight. That's one way to do it. Got it. I don't think it needs all four. 3 out of 4 is better than my high school GPA.
The one thing that Tyler did, he put the taillight in, and as you can see, he's on the brakes and original side, and yeah, his side, we've got a reverse light for the brake light, so that might...
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube, and this is my latest hoopty rescue mission. A 1988 Plymouth Voyager that was like the dog at the pound that nobody wanted and was about to be put down because at the local dealer auction, I was there, this crossed the block, and nobody wanted it. No bids, the minimum bid $300, nobody interested in the slightest. So the next stop was the junkyard for this thing, but I decided to save it because this is a piece of history right here, and the platform itself, the K platform, saved Chrysler from almost certain death entirely in the 1980s, and pretty much everybody has some kind of memory with a minivan if you grew up in the 1980s just like this. Now normally with these videos I have one last hurrah in the vehicle before it really does go into the junkyard, but occasionally there seems to be some signs of life to where the car can actually be brought back and be usable again. And honestly, I think it's possible with this one.
America's driving needs have changed. We could use a whole new way to get around. It's the Plymouth Voyager, the magic wagon. You've got to drive it to believe it. Voyager is 3 feet shorter than a big station wagon, yet it has more room inside and better visibility than many wagons. The magic wagon, you've got to drive it to believe it.
So like I said earlier, Chrysler was on the brink of destruction in the late 70s. They were building cars that really nobody wanted, and what they were building, the quality was absolutely horrific, so their profits non-existent. They were losing money, sales absolutely terrible, which sounds kind of similar to how Chrysler is today. The big difference is the parent company, Stellantis. Financially, they're in really good shape, so they can prop up the American brands, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, all that stuff, even though they're building cars that nobody wants. They're too expensive, and the quality is absolutely horrendous. So the bailout of the government in the late 70s helped Chrysler, and Lee Iacocca came on board and completely saved the company with the K platform. Compact, front-wheel drive, a transverse engine, very efficient, and adapted very well to all different kinds of platforms. So you had a small economy car like the Dodge Aries or the Omni, you had sports cars like the Chrysler LeBaron, and you even had some larger luxury vehicles like the New Yorker stretched out on the platform. But the biggest revolution came in 1984 when the Plymouth Voyager and the Dodge Caravan came out, and it was a smash hit. Before this, vans were big. They were on truck platforms. Most of them had big V8 engines similar to trucks, and they were very inefficient, more expensive. It didn't make sense for a family, usually. But these, well, they made a heck of a lot of sense because you got that 4-cylinder platform. Some came with a turbo. You get 30 miles per gallon with this thing, and the prices were very low. They started a little over $10,000 in 1984, which was extremely affordable even in today's money, and you got a lot of bang for your buck. In the first year of sales, they sold 300,000 units of the Plymouth Voyager and Dodge Caravan, an absolute smash hit that grew from there. So they went from the brink of financial ruin to making hand over fist money. I mean, just making buckets and buckets of money because it was the same platform, easy to adapt, so many different models, and many call it the most unbelievable automotive turnaround in history. Pretty impressive. By today's standards, the current minivan with Chrysler sells about 100,000 units a year, so nowhere close, still pretty respectable in today's numbers, but nothing like these old Caravans. But that was a long time ago. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, these vans were everywhere. If your parents didn't have one, your friends' parents did, so you have a lot of memories seeing the country in these, getting driven around to school, and even probably getting some as hand-me-downs to drive for your first vehicle. But now you don't see them that often. Most of them have rusted and disintegrated at this point, but this one, as you can see, it is super clean. You know, they weren't the highest quality vehicles, but they were built pretty simply, and it was very easy to service and all that stuff. So when something failed more or less, you could fix it. But when they became rusty and crappy, when the transmission goes or whatever, these just get thrown in the junkyard. So it's pretty spectacular to see one still surviving. And this one does have no rust, but does have quite a bit of wear and tear. So the roof, yeah, the paint is definitely fading. And yeah, they had a trailer hitch on this thing, which is pretty impressive. Pretty funny considering this thing only has 100 horsepower with its 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, but it's not a big, heavy vehicle. And that's sort of where I think minivans have gone wrong, because this truly is a minivan. It's not that much bigger than a normal sized car. The roof isn't that high. The wheelbase, this one's the shorter one. It's just not that big. So the taillight, it needs to be replaced. It's funny that they taped it because the taillights are out there. They're only $20, but the one big issue, and why I think most people didn't want it, is because this window was stuck down. At the auction, they had it all taped up, but it's actually a simple crank window, and it's easy to see what's going on because somebody decided to cut all of this out to see what's going on, but there's a little ribbon that should be right here to work with this wheel with the crank, and it no longer works. You go inside, and there's some interesting modifications here. A very wooden brake pedal. By design, I assume this is a way to extend out pedals so you don't have to sit too close to the steering wheel, which is kind of funny, but it does have some faux wood in here since this one is a bit of a fancier trim from the finest plastic trees. You have air conditioning, you have a stereo with no cassette, and yeah, more crank windows here. But interior-wise, yeah, it's a few splits, the headliner's coming down, the windshield's cracked, but it's in pretty good shape, and these seats, they're super duper comfortable. The only bummer is it's missing its middle seat for whatever reason. There's strips of carpet missing, but it does have its very back seat. So it's kind of like a lounge chair situation back here. I feel like you get some footrest, and this is just like a Maybach 62. And somebody crafted their own little homebrew center console right here, which is interesting, but definitely works. And a single sliding door, which, listen to that. If that doesn't take you back to your childhood, I don't know what does. Simple, it works one side, no power operation to fail. All the ridiculousness with today's minivans, and the stow and go seating, as cool as it is, I know it's a pain in the butt to fold down and take these big heavy seats out, but think about how small this van is in comparison, which at auction there was a Honda Odyssey, I think, right behind this. Looked giant in comparison, but interior space, it's pretty similar because this doesn't have the stow and go seating, so the floor feels really low in this van, and when you take the seats out, you have tons and tons of cargo room. Still an ashtray for the kids in the 1980s. I was wondering if that was a cup holder. No, nope, it's ashtrays for the kids. All right, little storage cubby. Very interesting. So no cup holders, but plenty of ashtrays. Two little cup holders here, though. One of them has a nickel that is encased in petrified coke and mold and things. But overall, this thing is in pretty nice shape. 115,000 miles, so very low mileage. That's probably why it survived in such nice shape. And no glove box, which I found kind of interesting. But they do have a storage, sort of case down here. And when you open it up, it does have the original owner's manual, which is fun. 1988. And a big coincidence here, the original warranty card was filled out by a person in Hillsboro, Kansas. They bought it in 1987, which is where Euro-Asian Bob and Becky, they grew up. So they actually knew the family. They no longer lived there, but they probably saw this van, when they were in high school or whatever, that getting dropped off back in the day. So all that still in there, kind of clever. And everything's still working as it should, with one big asterisk under the hood, which I don't know if it's fixable or I want to fix it without blowing the budget here. But that is the AC compressor, which is disconnected. The engine itself looks like they've been leaking oil from the valve cover for a lot of years and just sort of coated everything. But this is that transverse 4-cylinder, which the transmission, everything's so visible on this thing. And what's funny is the jack is sitting right there to grab. So they have storage under the hood for the jack and the instructions as far as how to jack up the vehicle and get the spare, all that stuff. But looks like a pretty simple thing to work on. But it really doesn't have that many issues as far as the drivability. That's what's wild about this thing. And oh yeah, the mirror's missing. But what's cool is you can see how these manual cables adjust. when you mess with the lever, it moves those cables around, and that's how the mirror adjusts. It's all intact on the driver's side, but once again, that's a $20 part, and me opening the hood cut my hand. Anyway, it bit me. Be nice, I'm gonna save you. Anyway, here's the absolutely crazy part, because nobody must have bothered to look at this thing, because it starts right up. No weird noises. It's quiet. It's smooth. It goes into gear. It does all the things you would want a car to do, except for, I guess, the air conditioning to work and the window to go up. But for the price, you have a lot of money to spend to make this thing really nice. So what am I missing? I don't know. I mean, if you don't believe me, let's go for a drive. I'm serious. It's fine. All right, here we go. A speed demon this thing is not, but it's not bad. Foot's to the floor. We're at 45. I mean, you're gonna get there eventually, but where this van really shines is how nice it feels as far as the ride. They did say these things ride like a car, and it truly does. It rides like an old, comfy, mid-sized car, and it doesn't feel cumbersome or a pain at all. I'm missing a mirror, otherwise, visibility would be great on this thing, but feels, pretty light on its feet as far as the handling, and fun. I gotta say, this thing feels fun. That brake warning is a little concerning, but the wooden brakes work actually just fine. In this van, it seems really happy. Feels like fresh shocks, steering, everything feels dialed in. 115,000 miles, pretty low for one of these, but it's super easy to see why they sold 300,000 of these in the first year. There is nothing like this, nothing this good for the price. For a little over $10,000, you got something that can haul the whole family in comfort. It was cool, it was cutting edge, it was fun. Minivans just aren't mini anymore. They become so big and bloated where basically you can buy a crossover or an SUV and have the exact same experience. This thing has all of this room, and it's about the size of a Kia Rio or something like that. And that's where it definitely makes sense to own a minivan, a true minivan, not a ginormous Kia Carnival or Honda Odyssey that's, basically the size of a Suburban. It's not the original DNA for success on these things. As I locked up the brakes slightly into the turn, no ABS, but dove into the turn pretty well. Let's floor it. Come on. Come on. We'll hit 60 eventually. There we go. I mean, a turbo would be nice. They did sell these with a turbo, but I mean, most people weren't looking to drag race these things. But yeah, a turbo stick one of these would be pretty darn epic. But for $300, I'm not complaining. I bought this thing at auction, didn't really test drive it, and was just absolutely tickled that the thing drove as good as it did. So I thought this would be a video where I say my goodbyes, sort of pay tribute to this relic as it goes to the scrapyard. One last final drive, but I think this thing wants to live. I think it can be saved. And the car wizard, he's not in town, but Tyler Potter, my friend, is a Mopar expert. He's revived several old Dodge Chrysler Jeep vehicles for me, and I think this is perfect for him. So I've invited him over to inspect it, and we'll see what he thinks. Obviously, my $300 has gone a long way with this van, and one way to really make your dollar stretch further is with Current, the sponsor of today's video. Current has seen rave reviews with their ease of use, and members use Current to help improve their credit using the Build card without piling on debt, which results in an average of 80+ points in 6 months. But Current is not just awesome because it can be a credit booster. They also offer a paycheck advance of up to $750 once you qualify. Current also has fee-free overdrafts up to $200 and 2 days early direct deposit. Obviously, Current is doing a lot of great things to earn your business, and even better, you can earn a 4.00% bonus on your savings. Current also has 24/7 live support and works with over 40,000 ATMs, fee-free and in-store cash deposits. So make your life easier, improve your credit, and so much more Get current. Sign up at current.com/Hoovie and use my promo code Hoovie50 to get $50. That's like 15% the entire cost of this van just for signing up. Current.com/Hoovie. Use my promo code Hoovie50.
Yeah, the wizard going to his vacation soon to be permanent home puts a cramp in my style a little bit, but I do have plenty of capable substitute teachers. And Potter, well, Potter knows his Mopars. Yo, you found one. No muffler. Is that a 4-liter?
That's a 4-liter with a fake Flowmaster muffler on there.
It sounds kind of spicy.
It does sound pretty good.
How much was this one?
This baby was $400. It's my first WJ in like 8 months.
Wow.
Didn't have a battery. Crank sensor wiring got chewed through by a mouse, and a fuse was blown for the PCM, and it's kind of moving again.
Okay. Well, 4-wheel drive. How many miles?
216. Little high for me, but it's a WJ. I gotta save them all.
$400. Well, I got you beat. I got you beat by a lot. $300 for the '88 Plymouth Voyager, and she was running and driving. She ran gloriously here. Very happy overall, and you know, minor fixes. This taillight's like $20.
Yeah, but do I need a tetanus shot before we look at it?
No, I mean that's the crazy thing. Go ahead, walk around it. It is really rust-free. Somebody took great care of this thing, and it's got way less miles than yours. 115,000 miles.
Dang,
so
that's kind of cool.
You got to be jelly, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So you've been a Mopar tech for 15 years now. Sure. Has a K-van ever showed up in your any K car?
I don't recall one this square before, so probably these probably have not made their way to the dealership for a long time, and definitely not into my stall at the dealership.
No LeBarons, no New Yorkers, no.
Sure. So we've had some LeBarons, some New Yorkers. Again, typically not in my stalls, but yes. But something this vintage, probably not.
Well, let's see what you think. I'd love to save this thing from death for under $1,000 all in. You know, this thing was gonna go to the scrap heap if I didn't buy it. There's nobody else bidding on it. So $300, it seems like it wants to live. But when you look under there, I mean, it's pretty oily, but I feel like all that's kind of holding it together, you know?
For sure. Oh boy. Again, the oil leaks are kind of anti-rust treatment here, but again, it's probably valve covery upper area and kind of just running down for the most.
What's up?
Sorry, I know you're shooting video. Frank had diarrhea at the top of the stairs on the new carpet.
Really?
And it was really bad. And he needed to know.
Okay.
And
So the carpet's ruined.
I don't know.
It'll be ruined.
But I walk in the house, I'm like, it smells like farts. And he said,
Yeah.
it's in the toilet. And it carried all the way from upstairs to the front door.
We've got kind of our valve cover leaking up here at the top, and kind of probably being most of the leak. Our dipstick tube is pretty wet down there at the bottom, and I'm sure oil pan.
There's oil in it.
There is oil, and it's not black.
Okay. So that's a good start. I mean, it runs great. The transmission shifts great. But what a simple machine. Yeah, new alternator.
Brand new alternator. That's pretty cool. AC compressor doesn't have a belt on it, but
yeah, I noticed that.
the compressor's not locked up, so no clue why someone yanked the belt off of this thing. For the most part, it looks pretty tampered with. A newer brake master cylinder on this thing.
Yeah, that's the only warning light I have is for brakes.
Brake fluid.
And I was checking, and I think this one's a little
bit low, but we do have fluid in there. Newer battery. There's $100 that you saved right there.
Probably $200, honestly, where the batteries are. Yeah, so that's half the car right there.
Radiator's trying to kind of be crusty, but we're not even dripping.
Isn't it cute, this little bitty radiator, and then they divide it up, and there's, I think, the AC condenser on the other side.
Yeah, that is very, very tiny.
That's all they need for this little 4-cylinder engine that just tries so hard, but with all the complicated crap you work on today, how wonderful does this look?
The fact that you can get to components without taking off 10 other things is pretty awesome.
Yep, I mean, there's nothing
in the
way of anything. To reach the heater hoses, to reach into the accessories. I mean, it is a dream. It looks like a dream to work on, honestly. Yeah. And for its compact size, I mean, I guess it's such a small engine, but it's just,
what are engineers doing today? There's no excuses because this isn't a big vehicle, and they're able to put a 4-cylinder in the same size as modern 4-cylinder engines, but you can get to everything.
Yeah.
So, what's the deal?
I don't know. They don't like technicians or mechanics or people at home trying to fix their things.
Right. Well, I'm curious where the brake fluid's going, so I'd love to find it if we could go up in the air, huh? Before we go up, though, you have to see this because, yeah, unfortunately, the crank has failed, and somebody's been in here before, which is interesting.
Yeah.
You finding some ribbon?
Yeah, we've got a little ribbon here, and she looks kind of brittle and crusty.
But they made it all very easy to access. I gotta just find some blue carpet to put over that, but it's interesting that they cut it all off with a saw or whatever rather than
convenient.
taking the door panel off. Did you notice the pedal extenders there?
I believe that's mahogany too. That is nice.
So somebody didn't want to sit too close to the steering wheel, so that was their solution. And I think they built themselves a center console in Wood's class in high school or something, right?
That is a thing.
But overall, presentable. I mean, not gross.
It's all there. Yeah, that's the big thing. It's not filthy dirty.
Right. Well, hopefully underneath's as nice or better than in here.
And maybe a little less wood. Got this thing up in the air, and I guess we'll start at the front and work our way back. We've got some a little greasy goo here, but looks like probably a power steering cooler or a transmission cooler. But it's got little screw clamps on the hoses that look like they are just greasy and loose. So we'll be able to tighten those screw clamps down and fix a leak for $0 there.
I guess radiator looks okay from the bottom.
Yeah, nothing, no coolant here on the bottom. And again, kind of more of the same story underneath like we talked about. Lots of leaks up high, all kind of running down. So whether that's just our valve cover, oil pan kind of area. But I mean, honestly, it's not even dripping. For as greasy and wet as it is, we don't even have drips. But moving further back, our CV shafts are good. Ball joints are good. Tie rod ends are good. It looks like we've even got like newer front shocks on this thing.
It rides really nice.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Somebody cared for it and spent some money over the years on keeping it alive and keeping it healthy.
Well, the thing is, parts are nothing. The frame, everything's
it's
really nice.
It's really solid. There's no rust. It was probably garage kept. I would assume
in Hillsboro, Kansas, so it wasn't like a southern car either.
Right.
Brake lines, I assume here, right?
Yes.
And then what is? Oh.
So here is our culprit here on your low brake fluid. This is a brake proportioning valve. It's a wild setup off of the rear suspension leaf spring pivot, so it can add or remove rear brake bias.
Based on how much that's loaded down,
Yes.
like how much people or stuff's in the back to where it balances out the brakes. Because obviously unloaded, this thing would be massively different than 6 people in the back.
Yeah, you wouldn't want the rear end locking up. So it looks like maybe both of these are a little bit rusty, a little crusty, and we'll need to figure out if we can source some hard lines or if we're going to be making our own brake lines and doing some flaring here in Hoovie's garage.
Because it goes up, up, up to... Well, it's not the master cylinder. What's that?
It's that looks like some sort of proportioning valve or distribution block. So again, it really wouldn't be that bad to get to. We could get some bulk line and make our own brake lines.
Cool.
One other weird thing here is a blue cap on a... Oh dear.
Is that like a tank vent or something?
That is, yeah, that's fuel coming out of there. So I don't really know if that's supposed to just be a plug. It looked like originally a rubber plug crimped on to that. I'll probably need to consult with some guys at work that are a lot older than me to verify that that is just needs to be plugged off, but we'll probably need to get a little more permanent solution than a rubber cap there. But
interesting. Okay.
Other than that, we've got newer rear shocks here in the back to match those fronts.
I figured they would do a full-size spare in the 80s, but they were doing donuts back then, so that would suck if you're on a family road trip and that's your replacement. But compared to new cars where they don't even have them, I guess it's something,
that's
right?
Something. And to top it all off, you've got a massive trailer hitch back here for hauling your wake boat to the lake.
No, you're hauling a kayak, a dinghy or something, right?
These little bolts are pretty terrifying. Little 13 millimeter bolts here holding this trailer hitch on.
Wonderful, but not a disaster.
No, not at all.
So for $300, you think
I mean, I gotta buy a taillight, but that was like 20 bucks. I gotta buy a mirror.
Sure.
Gotta do that crank window ribbon thing. Which
Yeah, that'll be
doesn't look,
fun. Maybe.
I don't know. It doesn't look very hard, but I think we're gonna make it, right?
Yeah. Some brake lines to get some brake fluid in this thing.
So you're gonna try that out?
I think we're gonna see if we can find preformed lines, and if not, because we probably won't be able to, we can get some bulk. We'll get our flaring tool, we'll get our tubing bender, and we'll do some Hoovie's brake shop repair in here.
How about that? Okay. Well, Voyager, you get a whole new lease on life.
It's been a few days and the parts are in. I may have spent, $80 between all these bits to get the van sorted, but what doesn't need sorting are these two vehicles that are now live on Cars and Bids that I am selling. No reserve, my 2010 Lincoln Town Car and my 1998 Chevy Monte Carlo pace car. This thing, 800 original miles on it, was one of the pace cars, the real deal, not a tribute to the Brickyard 400 in 1997. 98 was the first year of the 3800 Series 2 under the hood of this thing, and it's had performance upgrades so it could keep up with the NASCARs, and this one has a wide body kit from the factory as well. With the Z34 wing, it looks really, really good, and it is a total time capsule. It is being sold on a bill of sale. GM sold these with a certificate of destruction because they didn't want modified vehicles being driven on the roads for liability purposes, and that sort of preserved this thing so well. I mean, just absolutely nuts. And you got to see the trunk because there is the poster of it back in the day with Team Monte Carlo, all the drivers back in the day, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, who were driving Monte Carlos, and you get all these toys. There were so many miniature versions made of this pace car, programs, floor mats. There's the controller for all the strobes, and it is all working and sorted out. Now this 2010 Lincoln Town Car, it's very well preserved, but that's because the owners were 90, the previous owners who traded it in, and I bought it and now has 72,000 miles, beautiful champagne gold, and it is very, very nice. The reason I'm selling is we have two Lincoln Town Cars. April favors the 91 way more, and you know, we don't need two of them, but look inside. So dang clean, the last of the great American land yachts right here, and both of them are no reserve on Cars and Bids, ending at the end of this week, I think Thursday and Friday. So please bid early, bid often, and well, next may be this Plymouth Voyager Survivor, which will bring, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars probably, maybe 50 grand when we're done, right?
48.9 probably.
I thought I'd bring this over for you to look at because it was stuck in low range. I got mad at it after it pulled the Bugatti out of the snow, which is a crazy thing to say, but it wouldn't come out of low range. I parked it up high on the lift for 6 months, brought it down, it came right out of low range and everything's working on it, although it did dump a lot of transmission fluid.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see what's under there.
I know you're not as excited to work on this because it's not a Jeep, so this is a pacifier for you.
That's a Jeep at least.
Oh no, the skid plate for the fuel tank is definitely disintegrating here.
Yeah, it's kind of returning to the earth a little bit, but it's kind of, it's still holding the tank for now.
I have not been under this in years, so I'm curious. Yeah, that back differential's very wet.
Yeah, we've got a fill plug leaking. Those are plastic, or those are rubber, and they kind of shrink up over time. And then the cover probably is due for a reseal. But our axle seals are dry. That's kind of a good thing.
Yep. Getting wet here. Oh, I guess the transfer case first. So
Yeah.
why would it suddenly start working? I remember these being vacuum controlled.
Yeah, up high where it's going to be really hard to see, we've got a little vacuum pod up there, and then our mechanical linkage. So I don't know if it was cold, angry, and didn't want to move. That would maybe be my guess, because it does look like we've got all of the linkage hooked up, nothing's come loose, so maybe a weird vacuum thing.
Yeah, maybe I packed this all up with snow and ice
That-
or
that
something.
could have been too.
Because it was deep snow, and I pulled out the Bugatti, and then it just didn't work, and never thought to check it again. It really sat up there for 6 months. But it is very wet here as far as transmission
Yeah.
fluid, it looks like, huh?
Yeah, these are always just so hard to tell because it's just all wet everywhere. Maybe dipstick tube is kind of wet up high. The RTV gasket, maybe. It's just kind of hard to tell when they're that wet. You almost have to clean them all off, drive them for a little bit, and then kind of recheck before they get this wet to kind of better diagnosed.
Yeah, the transmission was rebuilt about 5-ish years ago, so that's probably the right amount of time for all this to start
Yeah.
globbing up again, especially since it's parked so much, huh?
But one thing like crazy surprising is a really dry 4-liter.
Yeah.
4 liters normally are dumping oil pan soaked. This one is really, really dry. Rear main, oil pan, all of that look really dry. And like I said, that's very unheard of.
Now that I pacified you with a Jeep,
Yes.
you ready?
I'm ready. Let's see what we can do here.
Well, we thought we'd go with the easy one first and replace this taillight, but now we might have discovered why it was taped up rather than replaced, because this hatch, it is stored in the stone. Well, it's not taking the key all the way and not turning. So that's with the door key. And the ignition key isn't much better. I sure don't want to break off the ignition. Potter's looking, see if you can see a latch in there. Works there. So remember me making fun of stone go seating and how it took up, interior space as far as the floors being low? Well, this one seat, look how sweaty he is.
Yeah.
And I was helping, so this is to get in here, to get to the hatch, and pull everything away, get to the latch, and up we go. We got some dead struts. That's a thing. So what is seized up? I guess this is completely disconnected from the key cylinder entirely.
Yeah, that's kind of come loose, but
I wonder if there's a way to rig some kind of pull from the inside to pop the hatch. That's a fight for another day. We got this open to where we can change this horrific taillight. Now I know why the previous owner didn't mess with it. So it better be straightforward from here. Yeah, new old stock, baby. Wait, what? That's where you put in the washer fluid?
apparently that is ridiculous. Maybe that's just for the rear,
I would
and there's
assume.
one in the front.
That's amazing. Okay.
But you are required to only use Mopar washer fluid, so.
All right. Well, I think I got this. Do you want to handle the side view mirror? I don't think
Yeah.
I'll have to take the whole door off for that.
We'll see.
I hope. Okay, this is downright evil, because I thought it'd be bolts right here behind this panel, because that would logically make sense. But it's under here, 2 more bolts that are blocked by this side bumper plastic piece, which, please don't tell me it's a bumper off to change a taillight. How are you doing? That's one way to do it. And then, okay. Got it. I don't think it needs all 4. I think this one can probably be reached.
Yeah, through there.
And then 3 out of 4 is better than my high school GPA. What do you think?
That's probably sufficient.
Yep, 3 out of 4 you wouldn't even know, and that makes a taillight change a couple minutes instead of a bumper off. And look at you!
Almost there.
Yeah, that's probably Chrysler factory in the 80s as far as the fit, yeah?
Yeah, it's probably pretty close.
Okay, so I'll work on getting all this back on, I suppose, and yeah, this is the ribbon for the window here, which there's already a window into the door that somebody cut in, but you're still probably gonna have to take the door panel off, you think? Still
Yeah,
be
probably
easier?
to do it right, we'll probably have to pull the rest of the door panel here.
I admire the work. We're probably gonna have to do the same thing to that back hatch to be able to pull it open. So we'll be inspired by the previous owner here. All right, that is all back in one piece, and I found Tyler a snack from 1980. Well, it's not coming out. This sucker from 1988 that's stuck there, but you are making lots of progress.
Yes. So we've got our new window regulator ribbon thing versus the old one that's very. Oh, that one's not brittle. Well, one of these.
It'll break it.
Oh,
There you go.
we
It exploded.
go. Yeah,
Okay.
It's turned to dust. So hopefully that one will last the remainder of this thing's life.
Yes. So all this work to cut this off, which definitely took some time.
Yeah.
That was 20 minutes, and you've never done it before.
Never done that before, and I'll probably never do that again. So, yeah.
But now it's time for the fun part. Well, she broke loose.
Got it loose on each end. Did take a little bit of heat, but I think we'll be able to slide this thing out. It should actually be a really not bad brake line.
Okay, let me just hold this
There we
tip
go.
like that. Okay, that way we're not leaking corrosive brake fluid all over the ground. Out she goes. Okay, so now you get to be a little pipe bender and replicate all this fun.
With our bulk.
And then what about the ends?
Yeah, we'll have to transfer. We'll be cutting this, getting our ends off, transferring it onto the new, bending it, and then flaring it, and then it should be like perfect numbers matching Barrett Jackson.
Whoa. That's way easier than I thought.
Not too bad. The horrible part's flaring.
Wow, so you swap the fitting over.
Yep, and we've got our line set basically mirrored here, so when it's rolling across the block at Barrett Jackson, the guys will be going, oh my gosh, factory brake lines. It'll bring tens of thousands. So we are ready now to do our other end of our flare.
Pretty neat little flaring tool here.
This is a
So
factory GM Kentmore kit that is going to work really nice. It's a hydraulic thing. The big thing is you got to remember to put your little nut on there before you flare it, because that's you do that all the time, you forget. So we'll get our first die threaded in here, and then we get to use our little hydraulic press to press the die into the end of the brake line.
whoa. So how do you know it's done?
When it bottoms out.
Ah, because it's going to meet the resistance there. And
it hits the other end of the die, and then we'll loosen our hydraulic pressure, loosen this back up, and then we'll have our last piece is the cone that goes in to do our little 45-degree flare. Take our cone and press it down, and that should, in theory, have made a nice flare on the end of our brake line.
So why does this one have the coil going around?
I don't know. I don't know why original factory brake lines do. I don't know if that's for like rub-through protection. I don't really know, but no bulk brake lines have that. So.
I'm sure people in the Northeast are just like, yeah, this is every day of the week for us because brake lines rust. But around here, this isn't something that we normally do.
Ever.
So
now we've got our little inverted flare that our nut will thread onto and press it into that distribution block, and it should be a sealed line.
okay, back on, bleed, and we got a fixed minivan.
This is where we say our prayers.
We're gonna give her the best benefit of the doubt with getting some heat on there. I already had some rust penetrant, so we'll see what happens. Ooh, it either turned or it started to twist off.
I hope it turned. It's turning. Okay. You gonna tell me to go and stop or whatever? Or
Yeah. God, that makes me think that's not the right line, but it should be.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, so we've got our brake fluid full. We'll go ahead and pump up the pedal, see if we get some firmness.
Okay. Am I just doing it to the floor and tell it?
Yeah, we'll pump it quite a few
Okay.
times this first time,
Okay.
and then we'll push and hold.
Wooden brake pedal is holding.
Yeah, give it a few more, and then we'll
Okay.
push and hold, and then I'll open the fluid.
Wooden brake pedal is doing its job.
Okay, got her held down now.
Holding down. What?
Okay, guys. So the one thing that Tyler did, he put the taillight in, and as you can see, he's on the brakes and original side, and yeah, his side. We've got a reverse light for the brake light, so that might.
Be kidding me.
Yeah, we might need to switch those bulbs around.
Look at that. The brake warning is off. Okay. My window crank's nice and smooth. Oh yeah. I'm flooring it now. We just hit 45. That's a noise. But brakes feel very nice. They felt a little weird before. Now they're perfect. I got a nice unbroken taillight with the bulbs swapped, thanks to you for making that work.
Yep.
I have a mirror that I can see out of.
That's important.
That's awesome, and brakes that feel fantastic even with the wooden pedal. So I am under $1,000 into this thing, even with the windshield. It should be less than 200 bucks. Holy smokes! I don't know what to do from here. I mean, I could find a home for this, and somebody would have a great machine, but also I could do something with it. I could make it a mystery machine. That'd be really fun. Or you know, just rock it for a bit. I mean, this is so nostalgic and interesting. Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I know this is the least favorite Mopar you probably ever worked on.
This is the only 88 Voyager I've ever worked on.
Yeah, now back to Jeep Patriots and Compasses.
Yeah.
That misery. It says Wagoneers for their wiring and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching and hanging in there for what's probably going to be a 40-minute long van video, but I was entertained. I enjoyed every minute of this.